How's it going, you spicy young individuals? Welcome to a new episode of Inside IUE Sports. I'm your host, Travis Lang, and this man sitting right across from me, I think it means it's time for a track episode. I'm here with head coach Gus Schmader. Thank you for joining us, Gus. Let's talk quickly about last season. I'm a freshman, so I have no clue what's happened in the whole history of the track and field, but just tell me, how'd last season go?
Well, last season was successful for the most part. I guess we could start off, we broke just over 70 school records, combined men and women's programs. That was something that we were looking forward to do at the beginning of the season, just attacking the record book. We were pretty successful on a conference level, and I'd like to say the national level as well, but we had a number of conference champions. We had 3 men qualify for indoor nationals, and we had 5 men qualify for outdoor nationals, and we ended the year with 1 All-American. So that's something that we were looking forward to, just trying to step past the conference level and get to nationals with multiple individuals, and we did that. On the conference level, we had conference champions on the men and women's side. Indoor, the men were the team runner-ups, and just, we're looking to capitalize on that this year and build on it.
Yeah, it sounds like an amazing season, but did you run into any flubs or anything? Was there anything that was a major issue last season?
I wouldn't say things, no major issues, but there's always little things that you're not prepared for. Minor injuries, people not performing at their level best at certain times, but nothing major.
How many players will you have returning in this next season?
Combined returning, I think we'll have about 21 athletes. So the other half will be all new.
Nice. And how was that recruiting process, trying to get all those new players back in?
The recruiting process is always fun because, we spend so much time talking to so many kids around the country. And just getting to the point where you actually get them on campus, that's when you actually feel like you are a success at the recruiting process. So,
do you have any players that are from, or not players, I should say, athletes that are from a far ways away?
Yes, we have a number of athletes that are from a long distance away. We have an athlete from the British Virgin Islands. We have an athlete from England. We have athletes from Puerto Rico, Portland, Oregon, Southern California, Florida, Georgia, New York. So a number of our athletes from a long distance away.
So with all those athletes from a bunch of different places, you've had a great team building process so far. What are you looking forward to most about this upcoming season?
What I'm looking forward to most is being successful. So every year that kind of changes. I don't expect to break 70 school records, but I expect to break a lot of them because some of them we've actually, set strong marks. But if we can get somewhere close to that, I'll be impressed. I'd like to have the same amount, if not more, conference champions and more national qualifiers than we had last year, and possibly more All-Americans as well.
What do you think that might take?
It's going to take a lot of dedication and discipline from the athletes, as me as well. Some people just need to, buckle down a little harder. I always say track athletes need to continue to fall in love with the sport. Our sport is more difficult than everybody else's because we're constantly training and we're constantly pushing our bodies to the limit, and the competitions are so far and few in between.
Because you mentioned earlier, just before we started this stream, or broadcast I should say, that you have your next meet coming up as early as this Saturday. I mean, how are the athletes taking this?
Well, we've been training for 3 months already. And so everybody's pretty excited knowing that it's finally time to start competing. So you can see that look in everybody's eyes. They're ready to get on the track and show what they've been working so hard at for the last 3 months.
So finally, with all of that work and effort put in, just finish this sentence for me. The season would be a success if
we actually apply what we've been learning over the last couple months and continue to learn over the next few months.
All right, so with that, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to have some quick recaps of all the events for both women's and men's. Stay tuned.
What can I do for you today?
My throat's been hurting all day and I have class in an hour.
Okay, let's get you feeling better.
Receive quality care without the wait. Read Health Now, right beside you.
Hi, how can I help you?
My daughter has a fever and she isn't feeling well.
Okay, let's get her feeling better.
Receive quality care within the comfort of your own home. Read Health Now, right beside you.
Welcome back. Now let's take a chance to go over all the players of both the women's and men's side of the track and field team. Gus, let's start first with the women's. Talk a little bit about the short sprints.
Okay, well, the short sprints are 60 to 200 meters. We have the returning conference champion in the 200 indoor and outdoors, and also she was also the runner-up in the 60 and the 100. So it's definitely like we have, I guess, a little bit of a jump start. She was a freshman. She was able to accomplish those things, and I know she has higher goals for this year. But we also have a number of people who are going to be able to do well in those same events. In the short sprints, we have Kanaya, and we also have Anaya. So Anaya's a freshman. She's from Michigan. She'll be able to contribute in the short sprints in the 60 and the 200 immediately. We also have a number of people that will be running the 200. So we have people that run the hurdles in the 200, but not the 60. So Shalise Watkins, she's a freshman from Maryland. She's going to be one of our better 200 runners on the team. We also have a number of returners for our mid-distance runners who will be dropping down to the 200. So that's going to be a space where we're pretty strong at, and I feel like we'll have a number of all-conference athletes in that event.
What about long sprints?
In the long sprints, it's the same situation. We have a number of returning athletes. Keveray Gillette, she's a sophomore. She was able to place third outdoors in the 400 meters, so she returns. I know she's looking to do much better than she did last year. She happened to miss all of indoor season, so she just started training during the outdoor season. We expect her to do much better now that she's more mature, more experienced. We also have Sarai. She was injured last year outdoors, so she wasn't able to run at the outdoor championships, but she was a medalist in the indoor 400. We also have Abby Bittner, who runs between the 4 and the 8. We're not quite sure what's going to be her specialty this year, but she was on the 4x4 team last year. We have a number of other freshmen who may be able to sample the event. I'm not going to say that's their primary event, but I feel like we're the most strong in the 400 area.
Now let's transition over to hurdles. Who can we expect in that category?
Okay, so two people that I already mentioned, Keveray Gillette and Shalise Watkins. This is both going to be freshmen on the track. So they're experienced hurdlers, and in that event, you know, one little mistake can change a lot. So we're trying to work on cleaning things up. They've both improved their speed a lot, which is causing some difficulties in their approach. But once we get that down, I feel like they're going to be some of the best hurdles in the conference.
These are two different events, but we'll group both the middle distance and the long distance. What can we expect from all of these athletes?
Okay, so we're looking at everything indoors from the 800 to the 5,000 meters. We have a number of athletes spread out through a number of different events. Last year in the 800, we had some all-conference performances indoor and outdoor. So we did lose one person, but we have somebody coming back. That's Abby Bittner, who we mentioned. We added a number of freshmen who's going to be able to contribute. Savannah Hart's from Ohio. She's going to be able to help us out in the 800 area. We also return Savannah Hart. We return Savannah Hart. She runs between the 15 or the mile indoors and the 3K, sometimes the 5. Ed Malee's going to run the mile. She's going to drop down to the 800 as well. We have a couple of freshmen who's going to be able to contribute. Claire. So we're just looking forward to a lot of big things. I know everybody's been working hard. They had a really good cross-country season. They had an opportunity just to grow, because converting over to college athletics is tough for some people, especially in cross-country, because the runs are longer, the distances are faster. So I'm looking forward to people just growing.
And with that growth, too, let's head infield now. Let's talk a little bit about the throwers.
Okay, so last year, we had a all-conference performance in the shot put, and we also had a placer in the discus as well. So we're kind of expecting the same things from her. Her name is Sheila Naku. Unfortunately, indoor, she's not going to be able to compete because she has to have surgery. So once she's able to take care of her minor knee problem, I think she'll be able to come back outdoor strong and hopefully repeat her performances from last year.
And let's end out the category here of women's with jumps. How do you think the jumps are going to do this year?
Okay, right now we have two jumpers. Sarah Mallory, she's a senior, so she has some experience. I think that she'll be able to do well. She's solely focusing on the jumps this year. She was doing both, going back and forth between the sprints and the jumps, but we're going to just keep her in the jumping events. And we also have a freshman from Alabama, Deja Branch. She's going to be pretty strong in the long jump. I see that she's been growing and developing and working really hard to become a better technical jumper. So I think once we get past the little minor things and clean it up, she's going to be able to do quite well.
Well, there you have it. There are all of the categories for the women's events. Coming up after the break, we're going to have the men's events right here.
I have had the pleasure of taking care of probably 35,000 cataract patients. It really is meaningful to people. It changes their lives. It gives them back things that they hold dear. It seems like you can't do anything without proper banking help. I've had a very good experience working with First Bank. You have people that you know and you grow a relationship with. I just have the confidence that the banking part of it will be okay.
What if a home phone could also be a smartphone? And what if that home phone could save you money on your home and wireless bill at the same time? With Xfinity Voice, you get amazing technology like readable voicemail on your smartphone, caller ID on your TV, and even text messaging, all for a low price. Start saving with unlimited nationwide talk and text and switch to Xfinity Voice for just $19.99 a month for 12 months. Call 1-800-XFINITY today.
Almost done.
Now you can pay your bill, manage your appointments, and check your connection status. Anytime, anywhere.
Oh, so you're protesting? Okay.
Introducing Xfinity My Account, available on any device.
This is where a busy mom can work toward a bachelor's degree from a top national university during softball practice. It's where a service member can continue his college studies from anywhere in the world, and where you'll benefit from one of the country's most effectively delivered online programs.
Woohoo!
So, if you've ever wondered if a college education is really worth it, this is where you'll see that it is. This is Indiana University East Online.
Welcome back. Up next, we have the men's events. Gus, let's talk a little bit first about the short sprints.
Okay, first, I guess we could talk about the 60 meters. Last year at Indoor, we had 3 finalists. We have 2 of those finalists returning. That is Jamal Stevens and Trent Herbert. I think they're also going to return to the finals this year. I expect them to do very well. They've been working hard all fall, and they've been consistent, and they've also been very dedicated. Adding to that is Elijah House. He ran fast enough last year to make the finals, but unfortunately he didn't. So this year I expect him to get there. And also our freshman, Joe Brown. He's a very hard worker. He's going to be able to run everything from the 60 to the 400, but indoor we're going to focus on the 60. So hopefully we can get him in the finals as well.
What about long sprints?
Actually, let me double back down to the 200 because I didn't add into that. So all of those same gentlemen are going to be able to come back in the 200. Jamal placed the highest last year out of that group from the 60, so we kind of expect him to do the same thing this year. But we also have about 7 other people who can possibly get into that final.
Wow.
Unfortunately, we only can go, we can enter 4. So we placed 1, 2, 4, and 5 last year, and hopefully we can do the same thing this year. Those guys have been working extremely hard. I think that's probably our team's favorite event because we always do extremely well in the 200. In long sprints, we have about 5 400 runners and about 2 600 runners. So that's one of our deepest event groups. A lot of those guys in the 60 and the 200 can also run the 400 as well. But last year we were able to get 1 and 2 at indoor conferences, and we also had those same 2 gentlemen qualify for indoor nationals. So we kind of want to be able to do the same thing, but we want those guys to run faster. There are 2 of our leaders on the team. That's Will Mundy and Seth Reynolds. So we expect them to kind of carry that torch into this year and, lead us into bigger and better things. In the 600, Justin Lowe has won the 600 the last 2 years straight. So I think it's safe to say that we want him and expect him to win again this year. He's been working hard all fall. He's extremely dedicated, and that's something that, he wants for himself. He also qualified for nationals in the 600 meters. So we wanted him to be able to get back there and just do a little bit better than he did last year.
And how about hurdles?
Hurdles. So Seth Reynolds won the event for the last 3 years, the 60-meter hurdles. We also have Hayden Jarvis, who placed in the last 2 hurdle races as far as indoor conferences. So we're kind of looking for a lot from them. Seth is the conference record holder. He's also our All-American in that event. But we also have a freshman hurdler, Tamari Haygood. He's been learning the event pretty fast. It changes, for those that I don't know. It goes from 39 to 42 inches from high school to college. So The adjustment has been a rough one, but he's been working extremely hard to get, become more efficient at the 42 inches, and I think he's going to be an all-conference performer as well.
Let's focus our attention now on both the middle and long distance. How do those two categories look?
Okay, we have a number of people in the middle distance space. We have a lot of 800 runners this year, which, very pleased with. 800 is one of my more favorite events to watch. It's tough. It's probably one of the hardest events to run in track and field. We have two people that have placed last year, Chance Klipstein and Dustin Reynolds. So we're looking for the same things from both of those guys. Chance ran extremely well this year in cross country. He was able to drop his time. So we're hoping that he's able to drop his times in the 800 and the mile as well. Same for Dustin. He's been working hard all fall. He's our team captain. He's extremely dedicated. And we're just looking for him to get under 2 minutes this winter. So that'll be pretty exciting. A number of other guys also run the 800. We have Gabe Sanders. Brandon Wright runs the 800. And Logan Tuttle. So we're going to be pretty deep in that event. I know Logan, Brandon, and Chance as well is going to bump up to the mile. So they're going to be between those two events all indoor season. And as far as the long distance, we have Johnny Fike and Zach Barkdale returning. So they'll be mainly between the 3K and the 5K. I know those are two tough events. I'm not sure which ones they're going to try to master in, but I'm really expecting them to drop their times from last indoor season, hopefully contribute as far as team points at indoor conferences.
And now, quick question. I know why the 3K and 5K are so difficult, but why is the 800 so difficult?
The 800 is so difficult because it's a fast race. So a lot of times we look at it as it's mid-distance, a little bit slower. But those guys are running extremely fast, and their lactic acid builds up pretty quickly. So you have to have a certain amount of speed and a lot of strength and a lot of mental fortitude to get through that race. Because once that body starts tightening up, the only thing that's going to save you is how your mind is operating. Either you're going to continue to push or you're going to give in.
So now we'll finally try to end it out here. Let's talk a little bit in the field. How do the throwers look this year?
Well, I was pretty excited. Last year ended out with a bang. We actually won the discus. So Nick Gilmore won the discus throw, and he was able to get third in the shot put. He's a senior. He's been working hard. His lifts, his weights have been improving. And he's super dedicated to throwing. And I look forward for him to continue to improve on what he threw from last year indoors. So I would like to see him top 3 this year. I'm sure he wants to see himself up there as well. And he gets us motivated because he is our lone men thrower. So we go out there and watch him and support him, and we want to see him do well.
And finally, let's talk just a little bit about jumps. How do the jumpers, how do they stack up this year?
Okay, last year we did not score any points in the jumps, indoors or outdoors. So we're pretty excited to have jumpers in all 3 jumping events, the long jump, triple jump, and the high jump. Tamar, who's also a hurdler, he's probably our best long jumper. He jumped 24 feet in about a ½ inch in high school. So we're hoping to capitalize on his high school success and help him to get to further distances. We also have Kevin Armstrong Jr., who's one of our quarter milers, but he jumps. He does all 3. He does the long jump, triple jump, and high jump, but he'll probably mainly focus on the triple and high jumps. Tamari high jumps as well. So now we have people in both events, and in the triple jump as well, we'll have Kevin Armstrong and we'll have Sincere Beam. So this is going to be his first year on the team as well. So we're hoping that all 3 of those guys can place in 2 out of 3 of those events and contribute to that team championship that we're looking to win.
Sounds like a strong overall team. After the quick break, we're going to come back and we'll just chat a little bit about the upcoming schedule for both teams.
Hi, I'm Rick Duncan from the G1013 Morning Show, and I can't paint.
Hi, I'm Hoover from the G1013 Afternoon Show, and I can't sports.
I'm Scott Epic from Epic Workdays, and I can't cook.
But you know what we are great at, besides our music, of course? We're great at supporting community events.
That's right, Rick. Whether it's collecting coats, food, or just showing support, we're all in for our community.
And we're proud to call Richmond home. G1013 is a proud supporter of IU East and the Whitewater Valley.
I don't know that we would be the same community without this campus, and obviously we wouldn't be the same campus without the community.
IU East serves our communities. We are here to educate the future leaders of our region.
A huge percentage of the graduates stay in our area to work, and it's a huge driver of workforce development. And I speak personally for Reed Health. I don't know where we'd be without the nurses and the employees that we get from IU East.
Our students are engaged both on campus and off campus. Many do service learning in the community. They may be out doing projects at various areas, but they're often here on campus engaged in all kinds of things.
IU East has a very robust internship program across all kinds of specialties, obviously nursing, but we have marketing professionals, we have IT professionals, we have business office professionals that all come from IU East, all across the spectrum. I know personally, I have working for me 2 former interns for IU East that have transitioned to full-time employees that are doing an amazing job for us.
We integrate with the community, and we have all these opportunities for our students, and we see that our students are working in businesses. Maybe they're working part-time, maybe they're working full-time, maybe they aspire to do something more in their workplace, and we're the key for that. But it's really that relationship between the region, the community, and our campus that I think that makes us special, and I hope no one underestimates what that means.
Welcome back. Before we end off the show, Gus, let's just talk a little bit about the upcoming schedule. We'll start with indoors. To qualify for nationals, we were kind of discussing this. A lot of people assume that it's just beating another team or beating another athlete, but it's a completely different process. How does it work for qualifying for nationals?
Yes, so there are 2 ways to qualify for nationals. You can either hit the A standard, which is the automatic qualifying time. If you run the A standard, no matter what anybody else runs, you will be at nationals. Now, if you run the B standard, it is a qualifying time, but it all depends on how many people are on that descending list. So if they say they're taking 21 people and you hit the B standard and you're number 37, then you're not, high enough to get into the meet.
But theoretically, let's say you place 99th, but you run the qualifying time, you're still okay.
Yes, so no matter what you place at a particular meet or how far down or far up you place, if you run that qualifying time, you will qualify for nationals and you will have a plane ticket.
So with all those individual aspects in mind, first meet coming up is December 6th. It's at UIndy. Talk a little bit about the struggles of that, because I know you mentioned people were supposed to be practicing over the break, still staying on top of their game, but there has been a break. So what do you expect from that meet?
The first meet's always tricky because we get out of school for a whole week, and it's also Thanksgiving break where people go home and eat a lot and relax. You kind of just hope as a coach that they're going to be dedicated and do their workouts and they come back ready to go on Monday, which is today.
But I know you mentioned there won't be as many people as usual at that meet, so
this meet is going to be slightly smaller, but I think the people that are there are going to do quite well. I know they're fired up and they're ready to run. I can see it. I can see how they're just eager, asking me a lot of questions about what's going to happen, how it's going to go down. And most of them are experienced, so they know exactly what to do when we get there.
Another thing, too, as we get later in the season, I believe it'll be a couple weeks from now, you'll be going to the Spire, and I believe it's a 2-day event as well. Are there any challenges that come with 2-day events like that?
2-day events are actually pretty exciting. You get to break up what you have to do. Typically, they're 1 days and you have to run more events over the course of that day. Now, when you get a 2-day meet, certain events are broken up. Usually, the hurdles and the 60-meter trials are on day 1, and then the finals are on day 2. Certain relay events are on day 1, like the DMR, which is the distance medley relay, or the 4x8. And there's also a throwing and a jumping event that's broken down into that first day. So I think that's why it's going to be the weight throw on day 1, and it's probably the long jump on day 1 as well. So people get a chance to get a little bit more recovery time. And then you're also in a hotel, you're relaxing, you don't have to rush that next morning. You get up, you go a couple minutes over to the track. So I thoroughly enjoy 2-day meets. And Spire is one of my favorite meets because the facility is beautiful. It's a 300-meter track. It's one of the fastest tracks we run on. And I expect us to have a number of national qualifying performances at that meet.
And speaking of national qualifying performances, later down in the season, especially around January and February, there are some pretty big meets, especially for qualifying. Which meet before nationals is the most important?
That's tough to say. So I like to think every opportunity is important for us. You spoke about January, but we also have a second meet this month, and that's going to be up at Fort Wayne with Indiana Tech. Their track is slightly oversized. It's about 225 meters. Last year we went to that meet and ran extremely well. You know, everybody had their first race jitters out the way, and we went up there and ran well. So I think that's going to be pretty much our launching point for the season, is that meet next weekend. Everybody will go home on a high. It'll give them some more motivation to train and then to come back unprepared. So when we get back, our first meet back is going to be January 11th at the University of Findlay. That's going to be at a 200-meter flat track. There'll be a few teams, but that meet's always interesting because it's the first meet after a longer layover. So you always cross your fingers and hope that everybody's prepared. We just go out there, I try to hope that people perform to their level best, and we use it as a stepping stone. So we don't expect too much, but when we get good things, we're pretty excited. The following meet's going to be at either Tiffin or UIndy. So I think right now we have 2 different meets on the schedule, so we'll make that decision later. But that's going to be a pretty important meet for us because, like, once again, we'll knock those first race jitters off, and we'll be there ready to perform. And that's when I really start looking for people to drop some big PRs so that when we lead into Spire and we get an opportunity to get on that 300-meter track, we'll be ready to drop some national qualifying times and, you know, kind of, I guess, put our conference on notice. So it's something that we all do. We all check to see how the other teams are doing. So that's a meet where I expect a lot of big things to happen for us, and we kind of move on from there. So I can't really say which one is the most important, but, you know, because everyone's an opportunity. But as far as the fastest meet, I expect Spire to be the fastest meet for us prior to our conference championship.
It sounds very promising, but that's just indoor. We haven't even touched outdoor events yet. Are there any big meets that you're looking forward to in that outdoor season?
There's always a number of meets that I think everybody on the team looks forward to when it comes to the outdoor. Our first meet is down in Myrtle Beach, so we go down there for close to a week. The meet is a 3-day meet. The first day is just the 10K, and then the next day is a lot of the trials for the sprinting events and also relay events. And then day 2 is a few more relay events in the final. So it's always warm weather, especially us being up in Indiana. The weather is hit or miss in March. So when we're down there, we know we're at least going to be in the high 60s, possibly 70s. Last year, we performed extremely well at that meet. I think we broke 7 school records. We were able to come back with a 3rd place trophy. It's a relay meet team cup type of event. So the top 3 teams get trophies, all depending on how their relay teams do in the 4x1, 4x2, 4x4, and 4x8. So we were able to place 3rd. Our second outdoor meet, we head back down south to Atlanta to the Emory Invitational. Same situation. It's usually about 80 degrees. It's another 2-day meet, so the trials are on day 1, and then the finals are on day 2. We performed extremely well down there last year as well. So I like to take advantage of those good weather meets because we don't know what's going to happen once April hits and we're back up north.
Well, good luck on the entire season. Thank you so much, Gus, for being on the show and talking with a lovely audience. It should be an exciting season, as it always is, and hopefully we can get just as many national qualifiers and break some more school records coming up in the season. With that, thank you for tuning in to this episode of Inside IUE Sports. We'll be back next week with another show. Until then, take care.